I recently stumbled across these old pictures of cornrows that I created back in the early 2000s or late 90s. And it made me think about how important it is to know how to cornrow. You can create so many hairstyles, even if you're just using it under a wig. If you don't know how to cornrow, let me show you how. So, ladies, I'm not going to hold you. Let's get right into this. To do basic cornrows, you're going to want to start by deciding where you want your parts to be. Now, straight backs are a great place to begin, but there's a little complexity here with it because while you're making your part a little bit thick, maybe about an inch in the front, as you go back, because your nape is more narrow than the front of your hair, you're going to have to make your part more narrow in the back. So that's what you see me doing here. Once you've parted off your section, I always like to add a little moisture at this time. If you noticed, I had a little bit of a leave-in conditioner on the back of my hand, but because this is not a real person, I'm not going to use too much leave-in conditioner, but I am going to spray her hair with a little bit of water just to make it more manageable. Now, this really depends on the texture of hair you have, but since she's a mannequin and her hair is like kind of faux African American, it's more like a really wavy, almost like a wet and wavy kind of hair. I'm just using a little bit of water. So the most important thing about starting a cornrow is that you're going to take a little piece of hair in the front and section that into three equal pieces. Once you have sectioned that piece into three equal pieces, you're going to just start this sort of weaving technique where you're going to take a piece of the hair and you're going to put it under that middle piece of hair. And you're going to keep just sort of intertwining the three pieces like you see me doing here. You're going to be taking pieces from either side and sort of just incorporating that into a braid. If you know how to do an individual braid, it's almost like you're doing an individual braid, but you're incorporating hair from either side of the row into the braid as you're going back. It's something that is more easily visually explained than verbally. Now, I know that many, if not most of you, already know how to cornrow, but so many of our clients do reach out to us asking us how they can learn how to do some very basic cornrowing. And once you know how to do this very basic technique, you can use this as a springboard into so many other things. If you know how to do a basic cornrow, you could do some straight backs and then add a unit to the back, a finger comber unit or otherwise, or you could add like a ponytail extension to the back, or you can just use these cornrows under your wig. They can even be used when you're going around your house or going outside with some simple beads put on the back. And simple straight backs are even the foundation for crochet hairstyles. Now, what you might notice here is that I'm not making this super close to the nape of her neck because I'm assuming that she's going to wear these under a wig or something like that. And when you make it too close to the nape, it can cause tension and pulling and even hair loss in your kitchen, especially if you're going to be wearing it under a wig or as a base to crochet braids. And as I said, you want to make sure that you start wider in the front and sort of taper it to the back. Let's go ahead and do at least one more of these together. So again, you're going to be starting the row a little bit wider in the front and then tapering it off as you go toward the back. If you're just learning how to cornrow, you might find it really handy to have one of these mannequins Or, if you have a sister or someone who's going to volunteer, it can be a little bit easier, especially this figuring out how to taper it towards the back if you're not doing it on your own head. Now, I did learn how to do hair on my own head when I was young, and I did go back and forth between doing my own hair and sort of just working it out on my dolls. If you can see here, as I turn this around, this is still not quite right. The nape is still a little bit too wide. So when it's a little bit too wide like that, you'll wind up running out of hair in the back. So I'm just going to section that a little bit better and make the part look almost like a C. When it looks like that or feels like that, depending on whether you're doing it on your own head or on a mannequin, you'll know that you're headed in the right direction. So again, I'm just using a little bit of moisture because this is a mannequin head. It's not a human person. This is human hair, but it does need a little bit of moisture, and I find that water works best when you're practicing on a mannequin. In case you were looking for a mannequin, I'll leave a couple of links below to some cute ones. But you're going to go ahead and section off that first piece and separate that again into three, and just start doing this crisscrossing under the middle piece, taking pieces from either side of the row, just like you did in the front row. And the more you practice this, the better you'll get at it. And then you'll be able to start to do things like add hair or do fancy parts or even do someone else's hair. I feel like knowing how to cornrow is just like one of those things that, I don't know, almost seems like a little rite of passage, something that we as Black women, might find it really handy to be able to do. And some of us just didn't have the chance to learn. So sometimes I kind of think of myself as like this hair auntie. And I love the idea of just sharing things with other women, younger women or women my age. I'm a boy mom, so I don't have any girls of my own, but I have been blessed with like a bunch of beautiful nieces who I've been able to work things out in their hair and do different things with their hair. But as you can see, I'm going on and cornrowing it all the way down to the nape. And just like I did in the other row, I'm not making it too close to the nape because, again, you want to avoid it being too tight, especially in the back. And I'm just going to go ahead and finish this off and do the same thing on the other rows. I hope you find this helpful. If you do, please give us a thumbs up. Please comment if you have any comments, and please subscribe.